Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. It's Belinda here from Visualized NZ, and it's time for Trash Craft Tuesday. So, trash. I have here a cat food box. So for today's project, we're going to work with a box, any type of box. It can be a cracker box, a cereal box, a cat food box. Any box that you like, that you have available, that you've emptied out of the pantry. You know the deal, just any old box will do. Could be a tea box. So first off, I am going to trim this down. I'm not being particularly careful. See this lovely interior. I really like this mottled, called it sort of creamy cardboard. It's really, really lovely. And I think, what do I want to work with? I'm thinking I might work with these little panels. Not the little ones, but the smaller side ones. So I'm going to cut off this bit here and put that aside. This has got the tear off strip, so let's see if we can get that off. Yep, that wasn't too bad. I might leave that bit. I think we can use that bit. What I'm thinking is these larger panels might suit a different project. You know, they're a bigger surface area, so they might be something I want to use where I'm not chopping it up. I mean, boxes are everywhere. I don't need to be too precious, but for now, I am just going to pop those aside. If I end up really loving this project, then you might just see me cutting into those bits anyway. So full disclosure, this is not something I have tried ahead of time. It may go horribly wrong. I don't think it will, but it could. And I'm bringing you along for the adventure because, you know, nothing like upping the stakes, is there, by doing something first time on camera. But I've been inspired lately by quite a few things that I've seen online, on Instagram, on YouTube, you know, just everywhere. I've seen things that have inspired me to kind of take my mind down a particular route. And I don't need much push when it comes to see anything circles, because I love circles. I love using circles. So I'm going to be using my 1 inch, 2 inch, gosh, I can't even remember. It's so long since I've done irregular. So 1.5 inch circle punch, and then I've got my 1 inch. I always remember this size. I don't know, random. And then my 1/2 inch circle punch. It's always this bigger one that I forget how big it is. Now, if you don't have circle punches, then you can use a compass and draw a circle. And I might even do that if I want a different size circle. You could just trace around something that's circular, use a circle stencil, and then just cut around that. But first off, before we even get into the cutting, I need a brush. Now this is one I've had sitting in water since I used it in some gel medium. And naughty me, left it sitting there. It's been there for days and haven't cleaned it off. I mean, one, because it's just too hard to try and, you know, juggle a glass of water to a sink on crutches and then wash it. It's actually not too bad. I think the sitting in water has helped get out that matte medium. So overall, I'm quite happy. Right, so in here, in this wee container, I have got some fresh made coffee. Oops. I might just need to grab a tissue so I don't get mess everywhere. I put the lid on while the solution was still hot, and it is still hot now. And that will cause a bit of flow up. If you've ever like had one of these travel cups that you make your cuppa and put your lid on, it will actually, the pressure of the heat can make it spurt out, and that's what this was doing, the pressure of the heat. So this is still warm. I haven't had it made for very long, and it's reasonably strong solution of coffee. I heaped teaspoon in, oh, no more than half a cup of water. And I'm just going to give this a little coat. Oops, I'm losing paint off the coating off the paintbrush. Little fragments of blue. Now hopefully this doesn't take too long to dry. So I might be popping you on pause here and there if it's going to take too long to dry. Because it's got things to do, you know. Got to press on to the next step. So I don't want it to take too long. So it may be something you want to do in stages, you know, prep some cardboard, put it aside to dry, do something else, come back to it when it's ready. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hope that it dries quickly. And it will soak in a bit because this is uncoated cardboard on the inside. The outside is shiny. So I've got thoughts on what we're going to do with that. We might try a couple of different ways and see what we prefer. So if you haven't already, grab yourself a box and some coffee or tea. Tea will work fine, or perhaps you want to use some spray ink or just whatever you've got. I'm making a mess on my mat here, so my mat's going to need a clean. You could do it with distress ink and then spritz it with some water and watch it run around. And you know what? I might do some of that as well. Or you might just want to have the plain cardboard. Or you might want to use acrylic paint or just whatever you've got. You don't need anything particular really. With these, with mine that I'm going to do today, I'm definitely going for a vintage vibe. So if vintage isn't your vibe, then use bright colours, use whatever. This is just an example of an idea. So make it your own way. Oops, and I've got coffee there as well. Yep, that's going to be a nice grungy little bit of tissue there with all the coffee over it. Okay, so this is definitely not dry. We can easily see that. Just thinking whether I want to add some distress ink at this stage. I'm thinking why not. So, I'm going to grab out an acrylic block and put some, this is aged mahogany. It's quite a reddy brown. So I probably don't want to go too heavy with this. I'm going to give it a spritz of water. And quite a lot of water, I think, because I don't want it too dark. And then let's just pop it in. Oops, splattering it all over the place. See how red that is? It's quite red. It's really pretty brown. Of course, it looks a lot redder against the coffee colour as well. And I'm just going to dab that in, get some of that colour on there, run it around a little bit. I like how this bit tore, where I tore off the glue strip. It's kind of made it a different colour, which is nice. Okay, let's clean up my mat for a moment. I'm going to spend half my time cleaning here. Okay, we did aged mahogany on that one, so how about we do a bit of vintage photo on this other bit. Losing the lid. And vintage photo is a more orangey brown. I've got different colours, so why not play with the different colours? Absolutely not necessary if you don't have distress inks. You don't need them. You can just stick with a coffee, and actually a coffee and tea mixture used separately can create some really interesting variations as well. So see how different that vintage photo is? It's a lot more orangey. I'm just going to randomly pop it in places. Like so, and I might add just whatever's left here just add it to this one because, you know, why not? Not going to waste it. Here we go. Just a subtle little hint of the vintage photo on that one. Clean up my mat here. Now I've got all that coffee solution and I've barely used any of it, which is perfectly fine. You can always use coffee solution, not a problem. But what I might do now is make more mess. So I'm going to dip my brush in and just see if we want to add a few splatters, because who doesn't like a good splatter? Hopefully they're both in frame for you. And depending how wet your first layer is as to whether they stay defined as splats or whether they just bleed out. So doing them at different times in the drying process is really good to get a sort of a layered effect, a depth to your splatter. So right now these are reasonably wet, so I expect them to bleed out quite a bit. So I can wait till it dries a bit more and then go in with some more splatter to create a more defined splat. Right. So I think what I need to do now is pop you on pause and wait for these to dry. So let's do that. I will be back hopefully not too long. See you in a moment. So that was a few minutes for me, but not very long for you guys. They are still damp, they're not dry yet, but I thought I'd bring you back and show you what I discovered while I was watching them dry, because literally that's what I was doing, I was watching them dry. Is this one I noticed where this bit was peeled up from the glue strip. The water was seeping underneath and the outer layer was coming off. So this side was like this. And I have done it before where I've peeled off the shiny part of the cardboard, and I hadn't actually thought about doing it for this project, but seeing that it was lifting off anyway, I decided why not. Okay, so just to show you how actually quite easy it is to do. You know, sometimes you don't get it all in one pass, and that's okay. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It can go deeper and take more cardboard or just the top layer. Especially if you're going vintage or grungy or something like that, then, you know, perfect is not really the desirable feature, is it, to be perfect? So just removing that layer, or however much you feel to. We don't want it too thin. We still want a bit of body there, so don't go too thin. But yeah, it's actually really quite easy to do, and I think it being damp helps. Certainly this seems to be easier than when I last did the peeling of the coloured side off. And I think with being a bit thinner too, it's going to increase that drying. It's going to dry just a little bit quicker because it's not so thick. So this is still damp, just a little, but I think it's good for us to move on to the next step. So I'm going to do that. So from here, I've got to think about how I want to approach this. Like I said, it's not a project I have tried before doing this video. So let's grab my big punch for a start. And I'm going to punch out a circle. Like so. Now that's got quite a nice weight to it. I was wondering about putting two together, but I think that would be very chunky. I also thought about covering the back with paper if I still had the shiny cardboard on, but it's not shiny anymore, so I don't think I need to worry about that. You could peel the back off and then coffee dye that as well. In fact, why don't I do this one? So this one's going to take longer to dry because I'm going to go ahead and colour this side so it's still got a writable side, although it's not necessarily for writing on. but at least it's got, you know, a bit of something going on. Bit of interest. And I haven't gone back in and added extra splatters just because it wasn't actually fully dry yet. But because this has had the backing peeled off of it, or the surface peeled off of it, it's actually absorbing the coffee even more than the other side. And you can see some sort of differences in how it's sitting on the card. Right. Now I've got another mess on my desk. Oops, that's not the tissue. It's the dry wet wipe, which isn't as absorbent as the tissue. Okay, so that one now needs to dry. And I could go in with the aged mahogany as well, but I'm just going to leave that for a moment. I think this one I'm just going to leave plain on the back, because why not? So I'm going to cut another one of these. And why not? Let's do a third. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can cut with this poor little circle punch. It's lost its casing. It broke. Right, can I punch through this cardboard? Yes, I can. There we go. So there's a little one. And now the real trick is our smallest circle. And I don't know if I'm going to need this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've got room down here. Oh, can I get the cardboard in? Oh, that's tight. There. Okay, it's in. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I had to take it down so I had a bit more body weight behind it. Now, that may be too small for what we're doing. I think it probably is, but that's okay. You've got to try these things. It's a little bit on these that just didn't punch very well. Okay, so we've got some, oh, look at them, so hairy. I definitely need to sharpen that punch. I keep saying it, and then I forget, and then I go to use it again, and it's like, gee, I really need to sharpen that punch. Okay, I think these are going to be the most successful. This one I think will be doable, because I was thinking about layering them up, but this little one really is going to be too little, because by the time we punch a hole in it, there's not going to be much of it left. So we'll pop that one aside. So maybe we'll do a double layered one and then a couple of singles. So the next thing is stamping. So I've grabbed out a few potentials that might kind of work. So let's try a butterfly. This is a Ultimate Crafts stamp set, Magnolia Lane collection. Had it for years, so I don't know if you can still get it. Right, where's my acrylic block? And I'm going to stamp in black. Now, if you don't have any stamps, I don't know many crafters who don't have stamps, but if you happen to not have stamps, you could find an image out of a magazine. You could put a sticker. I'm just looking for a drop sheet to put underneath. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, this will do. Paper towel. Just so I don't make even more of a mess on my desk. Okay. So let's do one as a butterfly. So you've always got options. You just look around at what you've got available and use that. There's no right or wrong. Okay, it fits nicely on there, so that's a bonus. Whether I've got it centered or not, well, probably not. There we go, that's pretty. quite warm in here with fire going, so I'm going to just close my stamp pad in between. Just recently re-inked it, and so it should be good for a while, but not if I leave it sitting in a warm room without the lid on. Okay, so that's a butterfly. One of my new acquisitions from close to my heart. It's the stamp set. It's called Paper Garden. And I thought this looked really pretty. I don't know if you can see it with the glare. It's kind of like silhouettes, but with bits of text on them. Kind of thinking the top of one of these little bouquets of wildflowers. At least that's what I think they are. Very, very sticky. And my block's not big enough, but I just want to get the top kind of like that. So I'm just going to try and ink up that part. I might just have to live with bits that stamp that I didn't actually want. Actually, I need more ink. I didn't quite get the stems that I think are going to be on there. So let's go there. Oh, it's a bit tricky. Made me nervous doing that because I just want part of it. I think I've got a little bit of ink over here that's going to randomly appear on the edge, but it is what it is. It's okay. It's not the best, but it's okay. Definitely need a wet wipe for these stamps, because I think this tissue would just end up sticking to it, and the dry wet wipe I don't think would do anything except maybe fluff it up. So let's get a doesn't want to lose that ink off there. I think these are they look like they're brand new, like they've never, or actually yes, the listing said they were brand new, so they've never been used. So just bear with me. I know it's not entirely fascinating watching me try and clean a stamp, but I do try and look after my supplies, because you know everything costs money. And if I ever on sell them, then you know I want to make sure that they're in the best possible condition. Not that I can imagine that I will ever on sell any of my supplies. I just simply cannot imagine that. But you never know. You never know. Okay, so that one, bit meh, but it's okay. It's not entirely without merit. I'm sure we can work with it. Oops. It's sitting on top of the other stamp. Let's try that again. That's better. Okay. So that's that one. And so we've got a butterfly, a floral. Do this carnation. This is a Rosie Studio called Flourish. Again, these ones I've had for years, so I don't know if they're still available or whether you can get them under a different brand or what have you. I don't know. But you've got the details anyway. That is going to fit there nicely. And you could stamp in whatever colour you like. You could use vintage photo or any brown ink or coloured ink, whatever you like. I'm just, for simplicity, going for black. Here we go. It's looking pretty good. Oh, I dropped the wet wipe in the water again. Oh, So annoying. Right. I'm going to put the brush back in the water because that stops it dropping so... I think it's too late. It's already too wet. It's just dropping straight down. Okay, from here. Right, just going to remove this. I didn't stamp this little one, did I? Do I want to do the little one? Maybe I'm going to dispense and just go with the big ones, I think. I'm just feeling the big ones. And what I've got here is a pile of found words cut out of magazines. And so I thought maybe we can put some found words on them. What do we think? They might not be the right size. I just had them sitting in a cup on my desk and I thought, oh, what if we put some found words on them? They're a little bit big. This one I'm thinking we can certainly put some words on because it didn't stamp that great. So make the stamp the background and make the words or something else the feature. What's this going to look like? If we cut the two words apart. Like that. What do we think of that? Now they do need a bit of distressing up. The background's too white for me. So let's pop these other two to the side for a moment. Grab out good old vintage photo. Dirty them up. If you're doing vintagey or grungy, then dirty them up. If you're not doing vintage or grungy, then your choice. You could also edge them in whatever colour ink you prefer. If you like a bright red or a bright pink, that would look pretty cool too. Right, so I'm just going to edge these. Yep, they look so much better. And I'm going to edge this, give it a nice dark edge there. And the back. And you could also run the sponge over the back as well if you just wanted to give it some colour. It'd be a quick way to... Oh, look at all those crumbs. Quick way to give it some colour. Right, just going to get rid of those crumbs. Pull my sleeves up because it's getting quite toasty over here. And you can see my lovely big bruise, my new bruise here. It's quite a lump there too. I was going through a doorway and I got too close to the door frame, and so my arm got jammed between the wheelchair and the door frame, and so that's what resulted was this bruise. It hurts a little bit. It doesn't hurt a lot, but it does have a big lump there. So I did a pretty good job on that one, I have to say. Not that I was trying to, but it just happens. And tomorrow is my last day of being on aspirin, so I'm hoping that that means I won't bruise quite so easily once I'm off that, which will be nice. And if you don't know, I'm on aspirin following surgery as a prevention against clotting and getting a clot, a thrombosis or an aneurysm or things like that. So 6 weeks, I'm 6 weeks post-surgery as of last Friday being, but the script for the aspirin was for 6 weeks from the date of discharge from hospital, which is tomorrow, Tuesday. The day that you'll see this will be my last day on the aspirin. Anyway, that was totally an aside. So now I want a hole in these. So you could use any hole punch, like for example like this. This does quite a large hole. If I show you on this little circle, this is how I make hole reinforcers. I use that small punch to punch out a bit of paper, and then I go in with this one in the middle as much as I can tell. It's pretty hard to get in the middle, so it's just kind of guesswork. That was pretty good, and that's how I make a hole reinforcer. So that hole is quite big, so can I reach it? Hang on a tick, people. I should have grabbed it out, but I forgot. Is my crocodile, is what I was reaching for. It's in the bottom drawer beside me, but there's a whole heap of other stuff on top and in front, so it's not always the easiest thing to grab out, particularly when you're in the middle of a video. So I'm going to grab out my crocodile here. I'm not going to use an eyelet. You could absolutely use an eyelet if you like, but I just want this small hole, punch. This one's even smaller again than this one, and then this one's the smallest, and we don't need a big hole. So let's go now, trying to keep it sort of at the top. So I'm just choosing a location and punching my hole, and then I might just go in and give a little bit of ink around the hole just because. And for the next thing, you've got some options. Again, you've got bulb pins. If you have bulb pins, they're like a safety pin. I'll grab one out in case you don't know what a bulb pin is, because I didn't until I researched them, because I heard people talk about them, and I was like, what on earth is a bulb pin? They do have other names as well. Come here. So they're shaped like a light bulb. See that? So that's like the bit that you plug into your light socket, and then it's got this rounded bit. So that's a bulb pin, like that. So you could use a bulb pin, and as you can see, I've got bulb pins, so that's what I'm going to use. Or I will take that one off just so I can demonstrate options in case you don't have bulb pins, because this is Trash Craft. So I've got here some old safety pins, and you can see that one's a bit bent. They're all discoloured, tarnished, really grungy, bit grungy. They're not rusty, but they're a bit grungy. This one's quite bent, and I picked these up from a junk shop. You could use just a regular safety pin, like so. Now the difference between a safety pin and your bulb pin is the safety pin has this little coil, so it doesn't kind of go through a lot of things, although this actually will slide through that little hole. And the bulb pin doesn't have that little coil. So can you see the difference there? So this has got the coil here, so you can't slide things all the way around, whereas this one you can put beads or whatever and it goes right around to the top where it closes. Okay, so that's those two. Now if you don't have any spare safety pins around, then do you have a paper clip? Just any old paper clip. This is just a silver sort of triangular one, just one I happen to see floating loose. It could be one of the rounder ones, it could be a plastic coated one, whatever. Just slip on a paper clip. Just easy as that. And then once you've got that on, you can thread a bit of ribbon, a bit of lace or whatever, and have it dangle down. You could pop it on, here's my little notebook that I made in Monday's video. You could sit it on top of a page to clip something on, or you could put it on the spine of a journal as a little dangle, or on the top of a tag or a journal card or something as a little dangle. So that's kind of my idea, is making these fun little dangly bits out of trash. So I think that's super cute. Now that gold is probably not the best colour because it's more vintagey and the gold is very bright and shiny. So perhaps we'll put the gold one back in the packet. This is a new packet I just got the other day, and oops, it's got all different colours in, which is really fun, different colours. And then I've got this one that's kind of like aged bronze, and this is like an aged bronze. So let's just pop this one on like so, and there we go. Cute little dangle. Okay, let's see about these other two. So let's just dress them up. Now, also, if you don't have found words or you don't want to go hunting for found words, what can you do? You could stamp a word. You could not have a word. You could put a text stamp, you know, just like a texture text stamp, not one that's you want to read the words on, but just one that's provides texture. You could layer up other stamps to provide texture. Again, you could use a sticker. There's just like whatever you've got, whatever you can find, use it, and it will look great. Okay, do we want words on one of these? I'm kind of liking, if we put this one, this is really nice small text. Again, I'm gonna, oops, dirty it up a bit. This is shinier paper, so the ink is sitting differently on it, and that's okay. Ink around it, but hard to hold on to. I'm going to end up with really inky fingers. Yep. Come off of there. It's obviously getting caught on a little bit of glue on the glue page, which is not surprising. Okay, there we go. Glue stick, there you are. And so this little sentiment here says the heart of God. Oops. And I think that'll just fit nicely above and below the butterfly. So these words are just cut out of magazines. There we go, and let's put a hole in. I've always got to check that I'm getting the right side. Go. And let's put a, no, I won't put a safety pin because I do want the, because I might add beads or something. I don't have any beads to hand, so I'm not going to do it on video. But I might like to add a bead or something else to these. There we go, that's that one and this one. Now you could even put the word on the back, which would be fun as well. So this one I might do a little bit differently. I'm going to ink up the back like I was talking about. You can just brush it with some ink to give it that colour that you want. And because I really like this, you could also stamp and then add like watercolour or coloured pencil or something. That would be pretty if you wanted to go on the colour route. I want to keep these neutral. If I do decide to use them in a journal where I feel like they need colour, then I can add colour down the track. That actually surprises me and fits. I think I like inspiring. I'm going to do my hole first, and maybe I'll try the bigger one. Do I want to try the bigger one? No, I want to stick with a small hole. Oops. There we go. So there's our hole. Put a bulb pin in there. Right, and I wanted to do the hole first so I could put my word up the right way. Not super critical if it's, you know, if it's not straight up and down. Again, I'm going to just dull down that white a little bit with my ink. And then ink around it. Now, I might also put something in behind it just to give it a little bit more interest. So, let me find a scrap of something. Book page, probably. Music. How about music, since it's, I grabbed out a little scrap. What do we think of that? What if I deliberately offset them so that then nothing's straight up and down? Yeah, let's go with it. Just a bit of fun. Because if I put the word on top, it's going to end up covering the music lines, and that's kind of a bit boring, isn't it? It's like, what's the point of that? So if I offset them at different angles, then one, it doesn't matter if they're not straight to the front of the tag, and two, it's fun and just a bit funky. Right, so put that way, kind of almost like a crisscross, loosely crisscross. And when they're inspiring, so if you read the words on it, that doesn't make sense, but that's okay. They're not designed to be read like that. And there we go. We have some cute little dangles that can go anywhere in your journal, on a page, on a tag, on a pocket, whatever you like. On the spine, I think would be really cool on the spine or on the front cover of a journal. I think that'd be super cute. I don't have one to hand to show you. And this is not the right sort of journal that I would add one to, because it's, you know, it's not a fabric cover, so it'd need to be almost fabric, although I could hook it into what am I trying to say? The binding where it's been stitched. It's because the threads on the outside there, so you could like hook it onto the side like that. That could be quite cute. I could punch it right through the cover, because I would actually be able to get it through there, but I don't want to do that. So more than likely I would put it on a fabric type cover, or onto a focal point, you know, if I've made a focal point for the front, and then attach it to the bottom or the top or something of the focal point. Just some ideas on how you might want to use these, because I think it's important. It's like, well, that's a cool project, but what will I do with it? So that's some ideas for you. I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, will have your own ideas on how you would use them, and also how you would make them, what style you would make them in. But I think they are really cute. So I'm just going to pop these back in my container. The other thing I did have a thought was you could also cover these in tissue, in either printed tissue or napkin, serviette, printed serviette. That would be quite nice to give a different background as well. And whether you did the coffee or not, you could use scraps, like they're small, so any scraps of tissue that you've got, essentially trash, you could repurpose and cover them. So how are we doing on time, guys? Oh yeah, we're doing quite well on time. So I was thinking about maybe doing some with the tissue. Yes, why not? Let's do one quickly. we've got a little bit of time, so I'll punch another one of these. Oh, that was quite loud, wasn't it? As was that. Right. So I don't have any scraps of serviette or napkin to my hand, but I do have this pack of napkins that I picked up yesterday from the Dollarama, our local Dollarama, and it cost me $2.50, I think, for 20, and they had them in black and white, which I also liked, and they had this gold and white, and I thought, well, I'll just get the gold and white for now. Because it wasn't the only thing I bought, so I was just conscious of not spending too much on my day out from the house. My only day out during the week was yesterday. We had an hour. Hubby took me for a drive. We went down to the beach and had a look at the beach, and boy, the water was flat. Quite often there's surfers out there, but there was no one surfing yesterday because the water was so flat. Right, so I am just going to now, I might actually cover this side, the side that's plain. Let's put some glue stick all over it. And I'm choosing this area where the pattern's a bit denser. It's a smaller pattern, whereas this is quite a large pattern. So I'm choosing the smaller one just because I think it will work better. Just going to loosely trim around that and then give it a proper haircut. I know this is not a new concept. I know people do them, little things like this, but this is my first time doing them, so I decided to bring you along with me, because why not? I think it's a really good Trash Craft Tuesday project. Bit of fun. Okay, so I'm going to ink around it. And I'm thinking, what might I like to stamp on top? Absolutely would look fine as is. I think it's quite pretty as is, but I'm thinking I want to add something to it. Could be a word, could stamp a word or put a found word on it. Could do a sticker. Actually, do I have any stickers that would work just for something different that would get totally lost? So no, I don't think they will. They're quite light. No, I don't want to chop it up. That would be lovely, but I don't want to sacrifice her neck. Sorry, I'm just fossicking in my drawer looking. That's going to get lost. Actually, I don't mind that. How about we go with that? And I'm thinking we can punch the hole through that top of the alarm clock. And I'll have to trim a little bit of the plastic off, but not actually of the design. And hopefully it will show up okay. This is a risk I'm taking. It may not show up okay. although it is white as opposed to clear. So now next part is making sure we get it all on. Pop it down, hope for the best. Pretty good. I have to lose just a smidge I think, of one of the feet, but I think it will be barely noticeable. Cute. Right, grab our crocodile back and let's punch a hole right through the middle of that loop. Sorry, I don't know if you can see. Oops, I didn't quite center it. Never mind. It's all good. It'll be fine. Cute. And since this one's got that goldy tissue, we could use one of these little gold safety pins. Here we go. Clear the way so I can show you what we made today. And I hope you found this inspiring. I hope that it gave you some ideas on what you might do with your supplies of trash. Because that's the name of the game today, is Trash Craft Tuesday. Okay, so let's bring these back and I'll show you up close. So this is the last one we did using a washi sticker and the serviette. And then because we've got the coffee dyeing on the back with the ink, it just gives a bit of detail on the back there. You could add a word on the back or leave it as a potential writing spot. You know, could write a date or a title or something. We've got this wee one, which I really like that one. I think that's really sweet. This one, where the stamping didn't go so right. But again, I think it's fine. It just gives interest and a hint of that floral in the background, and it's all about the words. And then this one that's just simple with the flower on the front. And then we've got this little collage with the word on the back. So there we go. 4 little dangles. Little bit of drying time there. But if you make the cardboard, you know, dry up the cardboard ahead of time, prepare it ahead of time, then you could whip these out in quite a short amount of time, I think. As for me, it always takes me a lot longer because I'm talking and I distract myself and I get sidetracked. And I talk with my hands, in case you haven't noticed, unless they're busy. So anyway, there's our project for today. Thanks for joining me. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you back in the next video. Bye.